Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since you've seen me. I had a very busy summer of travel. One of the trips that I took was 3 weeks in Florence, Italy to help my daughter move apartments. And the three of us hauled all of her stuff across town in 100-degree weather. Up 4 flights without an elevator. But I must say the dinners were good. If you want all my recommendations for what we ate, saw, and shopped for in Florence, you can find all of that in my Substack newsletter. I'll leave you a link below. And while I was there, I had this fig walnut cookie that I cannot get out of my brain. It was like the most delicious thing. And I kept thinking, as soon as I get back, I'm getting into the kitchen and I'm gonna try to reproduce this cookie. And I am happy to say, I think I got it. All right, so the first thing you want to do is make the dough for your cookies. So I have 6 tablespoons of very softened butter, unsalted butter, that I'm going to put into this bowl. And then to that, you want to add 1/3 cup of regular white sugar. And then you just want to beat this up until it's nice and fluffy. Then you want to add 2 egg yolks, one at a time, and beat in between each addition. Then you want to add 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. We had some house guests this summer that came from the States, and when they asked me what they could bring to our house, I said, please, some Trader Joe's vanilla. It's my favorite vanilla extract, and it's the one thing here in France that I just cannot get a good substitution for, the vanilla extract. It's not the same. It's super sweet, and it doesn't have the same vanilla flavor. So if you're in the States, take advantage of the Trader Joe's vanilla extract. It's super yummy. Then you also want to add about 1/8 teaspoon of kosher salt. There, and then you're going to beat that up. And then lastly, you're going to add 1 cup of all-purpose flour. Then, with floured hands, go in and grab your dough, turn it into a ball, and then a disc. And then you want to wrap it up in some parchment paper. So it may look like this dough doesn't make that many cookies, but because they're small and they're sandwich cookies, it'll make 20 cookies. So that's good, almost 2 dozen. Now you do need to refrigerate this dough for at least 2 hours. I've tried it with an hour and it's really not long enough. Anytime you're just making cookies that you have to roll and cut out, it's better that that dough is refrigerated because it's just gonna make it so much easier to cut out your dough. You could even do this the day before and then let it sit in your fridge overnight. You saw that right, I am using a champagne flute to cut out my cookie dough. I find it creates the perfect 1.5-inch circle. I wouldn't use the priceless crystal if that's what you have for champagne flutes, but any basic sturdy champagne flute really does work well. You are then going to pop them in the oven at 350 degrees for just 8 minutes. While your cookies are in the oven, you can make the filling. So all you need is 2 dried figs. That's going to give our filling some structure. Then you also want to add 2/3 cup of fig jam. Whirl that up in the food processor. The dried figs really help thicken the fig jam and create a little bit more structure to the filling. Then I also like to add 1 teaspoon of orange zest because that combination of the orange and the fig is just so delicious once these cookies are baked. And to spike all those flavors, a good pinch of kosher salt. Transfer this mixture to a medium-sized bowl, and then you're going to add your walnuts. So in testing this recipe, the biggest mistake I made is chopping these walnuts too small. So you want to leave them pretty chunky because if you remember in the original cookie, they were a good size. And I think that that really does add to the crunch of the cookie. And your mixture should look like this, very nutty and very jammy. So when your cookies come out of the oven at 8 minutes, they will not look fully baked because we are actually going to be baking them twice. The first baking time was just to allow them to set. Then what we're going to do is flip one of the cookies over so that we have a bottom and a top, and then we are going to fill them. So you want to take about 1 teaspoon, maybe 1.25 teaspoons, and put it on the bottom of your cookie, spreading it out so that it covers the entire cookie bottom. Then you can place the top of the cookies on top of the jam mixture. Just press it down gently. Not too much or it'll crack the top cookie. Sort of have to laugh at this stage. They sort of remind me of little hamburgers. Then you're going to put them back in the oven for another 8 to 10 minutes just until they're nice and golden brown and that center looks like it's nice and soft and jammy. Now at this point, right when they're warm, I think it's a good idea to just go in and kind of tap down the cookie because the jam is really pliable right now and you can sandwich them together so that they just kind of adhere a little bit better. I would just let them sit like this to set up for about 5 to 10 minutes. You could leave them just like this. They'd be certainly delicious and pretty, but I do like to add one little flourish just to make them a little bit daintier, but it's up to you, which is a little flourish of powdered sugar. It just feels very festive for the holidays. So I think if you wanted to dress these cookies up for Christmas or for Thanksgiving, you could put a little powdered sugar on them. Should we give them a taste? I want to describe what they taste like. They are so good. I really think they're best a few minutes out of the oven because the orange is so pronounced. The cookie is so buttery and the filling is so chewy. They're so fantastic. And don't forget to sign up for my newsletter if you'd like all of my recommendations on where to eat and where to shop and stay in Florence. All right, you guys, I'll see you next time. Bye.